Hello, welcome back to another video on astrology. In this video, I will be talking to you about the transit of Saturn, but this time it is not going to be with regard to your moon sign. This is something more serious than that, or more important than that. I am doing this video on May 2nd, Indian Standard Time, 11:04 am, and if you refer to the Panchang of this particular time, then you know that the nakshatra is the 26th nakshatra Uttarabhadra, a star that belongs to Saturn. An hour back, a consultation got cancelled. All the three clients were going through some Saturn phase in their life, and as soon as we started the consultation, there was a lot of electricity problems, switching on and off, and we couldn't solve it. And since the weather in Chennai is, you know how it is, so I had to cancel the consultation, because without the air condition we cannot sit in a closed room, and so I had to cancel the appointment. And that's when I thought I will do a video on none other than the great Saturn himself. Normally when it comes to transit, we only know from moon sign, if Saturn is the 3, 6, 11, then it is good, and how it causes 7.5 year Saturn, all that we know. But this rule that I am going to talk to you about is taken from the book called Chandra Kala Nadi. It is a Nadi book. There are two sections to this. One is where I am speaking to you directly, and after that I will move over to the green board where we will have some examples, and I am going to use my own horoscope as an example. But this is just a starting point. Do not think that you can all the time get wonderful prediction using such simple ideas, but nevertheless this is a very dependable idea. That's the reason why I thought of doing this video. So Chandra Kala Nadi gives us a very nice idea on how to find out the dangerous time of a person's life from the horoscope. Not only your own, the dangers in your own life, but also the danger in other people's life, especially the relatives. To get started, all you need is the Rashi chart and the Navamsha chart. You don't need the Bhava chart, because the references is only between the Rashi chart and the Navamsha chart. And you also need to know which house is concerned with which relative. For example, uncle, maternal uncle, the 4th house is the house of mother, and her brother is referred from the 3rd house, from the 4th house, because the 3rd house is house of brothers and sisters, and the co-born siblings. So if you count from 4, 1, 2, 3, you will reach 6, and that's the reason why 6th house is the maternal uncle. Suppose you want to know about your father, then you will always relate to the 9th house, and if you want to know about your mother, it is always the 4th house. Some astrologers have been saying that the 10th house is the house of father, but I am not going to enter the debate, because throughout Bhrigu Sutra you will find, and even throughout Brihad Parashara Horashastra, whenever it comes to father, the house number that is discussed is actually only the 9th house and not the 10th house. Suppose you want to know about your wife's, let us say, brother, then you go to the 7th house, which is your spouse, and from there the 3rd house, which is the 9th house. So the siblings of your spouse is always referred from the 9th house. So once you get a good idea about this, then we can go to the actual rule. So let's say if I am going to find out which Saturn transit could be detrimental to my father, how do I do it? So this is the simple method taken from Chandra Kala Nadi. Now you will know that the 9th house is relating to my father. Now from the 9th house, reach out to the 8th house. So that will now be my 4th house, because the 8th house is house of longevity, danger to life, etc. And therefore take the 8th house, and the 8th house from the 9th house will always be the 4th house. So the 4th lord in my horoscope is Mars. So Mars is the planet that you will have to watch out for. I try to find out where Mars is in Navamsha. In my horoscope, Mars happens to be in the Navamsha of Capricorn. It is exalted in my Navamsha chart. So now this is the reference point from now on with regard to Saturn transit. Now Chandra Kala Nadi tells us with regard to this rule that when Saturn reaches this point, which is Capricorn, where Mars sits, that year, those 2.5 years could become very, the time when the father can have a great danger to his life. Sometimes the death of the father is also indicated, but it all depends on so many other factors. Maybe you'll have to use your Dvadasamsa chart, or maybe you should also look at, for example, my own father's chart. I knew that he was going through a Maraka Dasha and Antardasha when he passed away. So it's not just one rule, but you can use this as one of the starting point. So when Saturn was going over Capricorn, my father passed away, and at the same time it was 7.5 year Saturn for him as well, because my father's moon sign happened to be Makara. And in my basic chart also I had a Saturn Sun conjunction in Makara, so it got very sensitive. Let's use the same rule for one more time. Now about my mother, my 4th house is for everyone it is the mother's house, and so from the 4th you count the 8th house. So the 8th house from the 4th happens to be the 11th house. In my case it is Vrishchika, and which is Scorpio. The lord of Scorpio is again Mars. So find out where Mars is in Navamsha. It is in Capricorn, exalted. So the Chandra Kala Nadi says that if Saturn in transit goes over this sign or the trinal house from this sign, the trinal house from this sign happens to be Rishabha, Taurus, and also Kanya or Virgo. So when Saturn moved over Kanya, my mother passed away. So now we will go back to the green board, where I will demonstrate how this is to be done in case you have not been able to follow what I have said so far. Now let's take the ascendant. This is my ascendant, Makara Lagna Capricorn. I have 7 planets in this sign, but that's not the point here. We are now going to use this rule, and for this what you need to know is when Saturn is in which house. So you know that Saturn moves once every 2.5 years into the next sign. So right now it is over here. So many years back when Saturn was here, my father passed away. So now for the moment we will take the planet Saturn out and keep it over here, or maybe here. So now let's start with the rule. I want to find out when is the most dangerous transit with regard to my father's lifespan or to his health. So I have to reach out to the 9th house, because the 9th house is the house of father. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is the house of father. Now the danger to his life is always indicated from the 8th from this 9th house. So from the 8th, from the 9th, the 8th house. So from the 9th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is the house under question, and you need to know who is the lord of the sign, and you know here we have already written that for you, Mars. So Mars is the lord of Aries. Now in my Navamsha chart, now just imagine this is my Navamsha chart. Now it's got nothing to do with the ascendant. If you want to know where is my Navamsha where is my ascendant in Navamsha, it is over here. But this time we are only concerned about where Mars is, and so we place Mars here in the Navamsha. Mars is exalted in my Navamsha, so now we will bring back Saturn. So when Saturn came over like this, and then when it entered Makara, Capricorn, so the condition is satisfied that the transit Saturn came in conjunction with the sign which contained the Mars in the Navamsha. So it was during this transit that I lost my father, but my father had his moon over here. So for him it was 7.5 year Saturn as well. Now let's use the same rule with regard to my mother, and the 4th house of mother happens to be this house, 4th house, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So from the 4th take the 8th house, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the lord of this sign is Mars, and Mars we need to find out where it is in Navamsha. It is over here. So this ascendant has got nothing to do with it right now because this is the Navamsha chart. So when Saturn was here, I lost my father, but when Saturn kept moving 2.5 years, 2.5, like so many years later, when Saturn came to this particular sign called Kanya or Virgo, I lost my mother. The rule that is used in Chandra Kala Nadi is, if Saturn comes over the planet Mars, whichever sign it occupies, or the fifth thereof, the fifth from the same sign, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or the ninth from it, which is called the trinal. So over Mars and the fifth from Mars or ninth from Mars becomes sensitive. Now if you want, you can use this idea for any number of relatives, but you will also have to consider many other rules, but this happens to be a very dependable rule. I have always seen that if death does not take place, there is some great danger to that particular relative.
We have come to the end of this video. In case you have any doubts, please type them out in the comment section, and whenever I find the time, I'll answer them for you. And see you soon in my next video.